afternoon and welcome to Real Talk with Sean, everybody. This afternoon, I have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Dominique,
Mhm.
unfortunately lost her son, and that is what we will be
Yes.
talking about today. I want to thank you so much for joining me, Dominique. I really appreciate you accepting my invite.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. And
Mm,
of course, I'm sorry to hear about the passing of your son. I have to
Thank you.
give you my condolences. And guys, although he is not joining us, before I even start, I want to send my condolences to his father as well,
Mm, Yes,
because
ma'am.
when I seen her page, and it was him telling the story about their son. So
Yes.
he's a father that was in his son's life, and
Yes, ma'am.
so I definitely give him my condolences as well, if you do see this, sir. Um, what was your son's name and when did he pass away?
My son name was Kylan Bradley. He passed away June 24th, June 19, 2024. So a little over a year ago, he passed away.
What was his diagnosis? Was it sudden?
So it kind of was sudden. Back in 2020, Kylan was diagnosed with a spinal tumor. Um, oh, it was horrible. We kept going to the ER. They kept sending us home. Kept going back, and they kept coming up with diagnosis that we thought was ridiculous. And eventually, we found the doctor outside of um, our state hospital to look at him, got him an MRI, and he was diagnosed with a spinal tumor. However, the spinal tumor wasn't cancerous, thank God. But because we know chemo kills the good cells and the bad cells, he was on chemo, which led to him having to get a shunt. So initially, he did have the spinal tumor, but what initially killed him was a shunt malfunction that was misdiagnosed. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So,
Yes.
I mean, I do know that things can happen, and it's just unfortunate that with medical things, I mean, the doctors are human and there are things
Hmm.
yes, that they could miss. Although, as a parent, I don't think I'd give a hell about that part. You know what I'm saying? I
Yes.
just know what could have been done, what should have been found, because that
Right.
was something that had to be malfunctioning. It was it something sudden with the malfunction, or had he started?
So
He had show signs of that malfunctioning.
So I am a nurse. I'm a registered nurse, and I have
Oh,
worked in I have worked in all fields except for oncology and mama and baby. So that following Monday, he was at school, and his his therapist at his school, because he had speech therapy and he had occupational therapy, because where the tumor was sitting on the spine, it was causing him to have like weakness in his hands, weakness in his legs. So he went to a school that did therapy. Awesome. It's called the Allen School here in Arkansas. But that Monday they called and was like, "Hey, Dominique, Kylan he keep falling asleep, like he won't stay awoke." And I said, "I'm on my way. He's having a shunt malfunction." Had all the signs and symptoms of a shunt malfunction. So I called Ryan up and I was like, "Hey, Ryan, um, go ahead and leave work. I'm gonna feed him, and then we're gonna head to Children's Hospital." And I fed him because we know once you get into the hospital, no foods, no fluids, nothing. And I wanted him to be able to eat something. So got there, I looked at him, I said, "Oh yeah, he's definitely having a shunt malfunction." Got to the ER, they ran tests, and I asked them, I said, "Hey, have y'all ran all the tests?" Because at this point they was trying to send us home. And I was like, "I don't feel comfortable going home." Um, Ended up asking for a COVID and a flu test. Came back negative. They sent us home. He did so well. We went to Target, bought him a toy, and went home. He was tossing and turning all that night. That morning, Brian went to work. I got up and I said, "Kylan, what's going on?" He said, "Mommy, I need to go to the doctor."
oh
And
wow.
I put him up. I set him up, and I said, why do you need to go to the doctor? He said, I need to go to the doctor. And so at that moment, I said, spell your name. And he said, KY. And he projectile vomit and fell into my arms. Right then and there, I told Siri, call 911, and I began CPR. So
How old was he when that happened?
he was 5. So he
This
passed
is
away
the
when he was
beginning,
5.
right. So this is the beginning of him going on a downward spiral to that led to death. Or did he get better from this?
So no, no, no. Um, so we kind of our storyline is kind of long. So if we go back to when he had the spinal tumor,
Before you move forward with that,
yes,
for
uh-huh.
those that don't know, explain what a shunt is
Okay,
and what
yeah.
a spinal tumor is.
Okay, so our bodies, it's shown that everybody bodies have a tumor. They can be cancerous, they can just be a growth of something. A lot of times it's cell growth. So with Kylan, he had a spinal tumor. It was on his spine and it was part of his DNA strand once the test came back. Yeah, it's weird. It is very weird because it's not genetically linked
A
to
part
me
of
or
his
his dad.
DNA.
Yeah, so basically how they explained it to us is that with Kylan type of tumor is that as he started to grow up, the cells just started to go AWOL. They just went crazy and they formed a tumor. The
Okay.
crazy thing about this is we went to St. Jude and did a study. Kylan was born in 2019. When we did a study, we found more kids that was born in 2019, same age as him, with the same type of tumor.
Mm.
The same type of tumor. So we thought that was pretty weird.
Yeah, it is.
But they was not able to remove the whole tumor without causing him to be paralyzed because it's on his spine.
Right.
So one day, just happened to get a call from my mom, and she was like, Kylan is complaining about his eyes. At this point, he already went through chemo. The chemo shrunk the tumor a little bit, but it didn't shrink it all the way. So we were just monitoring. So every month he got MRI, CT, just monitoring the
Right.
tumor. So she called me. She was like, Dominique, he is complaining about his eyesight. He's saying he can't see. And I was like, okay, let me take him to Children's. So while they was monitoring his tumor, they had placed him on a targeting agent. What a targeting agent is another form of chemo. It's just a pill form. So every morning, me or Ryan, we put in a little syringe, let it dissolve, and then we gave it to him because he was too young to swallow pills.
Right.
And so we was like, okay, well, we don't think it's the tumor. Like, we don't know what's going on. However, got to Children's Hospital, they said his optical nerves was swollen. So your optical nerves is right here behind your eye, kind of close to your brain. And there was some swelling on his brain. So what they did was they went in and put a shunt. A shunt goes from whatever spot they see, like the swelling, it can go to on your left side or your right side, but it drains fluid from
Okay.
your brain all the way down. So the place that his tumor was sitting, the normally for us, me and you and other people, we urinate CSF fluid. That's what your spine creates. So every time we go to the bathroom, we urinate that. However, for him, it was backing up into his brain. So what they did, they put the shunt in. The shunt went from his brain, a catheter went down, and it went. He had a mark on his belly where the catheter connects. So it was going. So anytime his brain had that fluid, it was coming down and letting out.
Uh-huh.
So when it malfunctioned, it wasn't working. So that fluid was backing up into his head, which ended up causing him to have a stroke. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And that's what killed him.
wow. I
I
mean,
know.
the medical way you just explains it makes sense as to how that could happen. Do you
Yes, ma'am.
feel that in hindsight, of course, but still, I mean, you're human. You think,
Mm-hmm.
do you feel that they could have done something to stop him from passing away?
With legally, I
Okay.
can't say too much, but
Okay.
you definitely we're gonna have to come back to this.
Okay.
Um, um, but yes, Yes, a lot of things was missed in his care when we got to the ER. So I did pediatrics before, and the crazy thing about this is I had just worked at that hospital. I had just worked at the ER. I was an ER nurse at
Yeah.
that hospital. First time ever doing pediatric. And so we get there and Ryan is screaming at the doctors. He's like, no residents. This is our only child.
Oh, no,
Like
that's right.
we want straight doctors, no students, straight doctors. So at this point, he's seasoned back to back, back to back. He's having seizures. I said he's having seizures. We need Keppa. So at this point, I stepped into mama mode, but I was also in nurse mode
Yeah.
because hey, we have a case right here. We need to keep it rolling. So the doctors came in and one of the nurses came in and said, "Oh my gosh, that's Dominique." And the doctor said, "Who is that? Who is
Mhm.
Dominique?" And Ryan said, "That's his mom. She's a nurse and she used to work in this ER." And so I feel like then everything was like, let's
Yeah.
speed it up.
But
Let's
which is
go.
sad.
Let's go.
Which is
It, it,
sad.
it is very
Right.
sad. It's very sad.
But that's another
It is,
story. All right.
uh-huh. It's
All
very
right.
sad. It's very sad, and I'm glad that you said that because as women of color, I feel like our care get taken lightly, and they didn't expect to be like, "Oh, she's a nurse. Oh, she knows what she's talking about." And
Mhm.
so, and I don't like to throw that out there because I like
It
to see
makes a
how you're
difference.
gonna. It does make a difference, but I want to see how you're gonna handle me. I want
Okay,
to see how you're
right.
gonna handle this care.
That's true. Let me tell you, and it's funny, my mother, she's a retired nurse, and
Mm-hmm.
she actually feels the same way. She when we used to go sometimes, or she was on the phone with me, she would say, "Do not tell them that I'm a nurse."
Yes.
And she really wanted to hear what they were going to say, how they were going to treat me. And so so I definitely get it because my mother did it as well. So I can see you
Yes.
doing that. But go ahead.
Yes, because in I have seen through my years of nursing, I have seen how Hispanics get treated, how African American women get treated, and how Caucasians get treated. And
Yeah,
it shouldn't be like that.
it shouldn't.
It shouldn't be like that. Um, but they ended up doing surgery on him. His neurologist came, and when I seen the face of the neurologist, the eyes got big. Like you knew something was wrong. You knew something was going on.
Yeah.
But they ended up doing surgery on him. They brought him back to ICU. He was posturing. And posturing is when your body like tense up and
Okay.
like just posturing. Like trying to think of the best way to describe it. A lot of times, if you have a head injury or a gunshot wound to the head will cause you to posture, and so I said, "Hey, he's posturing. He needs to go back to the ER right now. This is not right." And he was like gasping for air, and I was like, "No, no, this is what happened when we pulled the tube out." And I was like, "No, no." So they took him back and they called us to a private room, told us to sit down, and they said, well, at some point in time, he had a stroke, and we don't think he's going to make it. And at that point, I said, what you mean at what point in time? Because y'all took him back and did a surgery on him to fix his shunt. If he had a stroke during that surgery,
Exactly.
you would have noticed that
Absolutely.
stroke and you would have did stroke protocols versus doing a surgery on him.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, with legal reasons
Yeah. Yeah.
behind
Yeah.
us, yeah. After that gets settled, you can invite me back and I can say
I
more.
sure will because I'm pretty sure y'all gonna want to know the end of this because listening to that, I know there should be more.
Uh-huh.
How so knowing what you know,
Hmm.
how did of course I know how his passing made you feel. That would
Oh
be
yeah.
a crazy ass question.
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel knowing why he passed away?
Um, was a lot of self blame on myself because at the end of the day, it was me and him at home. And in my mind, I kept saying, what could I have done different? What could I have done different? But I did everything that was right. Um, Also, it took me away from floor nursing. I work in admin now. I I took some time off, but right now I cannot work with patients. My level of anxiety, the level of hurt, the level of if that patient is needing for the doctor to listen, and if they won't listen, I know I'm probably gonna crash out, snap on a doctor. So um, for me, I had to remove myself from patient care and be put in a safe for environment for me because I went through that with my son. Because he will still be here if the doctors hurt us. He will still be here if somebody would have took us serious or would have pushed us off. So for me, in the safety of patients, I remove myself. Like I said, I'm still a nurse and I just work in the admin role. However, I do miss patient care. I really do. I really do. But as I'm going through this healing stage, I just can't. I just can't work. I just can't do it.
Which I find you to be so strong mentally.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
mean it because that's knowing what's best for you in this moment. And that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean it's going to be forever, but I can definitely see
Mm-hmm.
you still cared because you're a nurse and
Yes.
you
Mm-hmm.
go into that field unless you really care.
Oh,
Uh,
yes, ma'am.
but we know that not everybody treats this
Exactly.
way. But when you really care, that having that personal now aspect of it and going through that, it changes. It
It
changes.
changes. Yes.
Now you become extra sensitive. I know
Mm-hmm.
let me speak for me, and apparently you are feeling the same
Mm-hmm.
way. So, I mean, which could mean you would go personal as opposed to keeping it business and in the hospital. So I can see you doing that. And I want to back up and say that I think Kylan was one strong little dude. For him to tell you, mommy, I need to go to the hospital. Like I need to
Oh,
go.
yes.
So he was already speaking for himself. You know, I'm
Yes.
glad that did what he said needed to be done and took his little butt to that hospital.
He did.
You know,
And the crazy thing about it, that following Monday, that Monday that we took him. So that Monday we took him, they sent us home. He passed out in my arms. That Tuesday he passed away. That Wednesday, but that Monday I had got up and went to the bathroom, and he was in the bed with his dad. And the nurse came in and said, "If you don't," he was like, "If you don't stick me right, I'm telling my mommy. I'm telling my mom. I'm telling my mommy."
at
And
this
so I
point, he
walked.
was a soldier in the game. Like he knew
Yes.
the right way and what it felt because not everybody can stick.
No,
He can't
no.
do it. So
And he was like, "Look, if you don't stick me right, I'm
no,
telling my
that's right.
mommy." So I walked back in and he said, "And there's my mommy. There she goes." And I was like, "What did happen?"
That's
And
what's
Ron was like, "Oh, he just picking on him." So,
So tell us like some of your fondest memories of spending with him.
ooh, some fun. So Kylan, I hate to say this, but I don't hate to say this. He was like the best kid ever. You know, some people say I had the best kid. No, he was the best kid ever, despite everything he went through. When it came to being in a hospital all the time, when it came to all the pokes, the sticks, all the medication, he smiled. He was happy. The longest he had to for the longest he had to wear a neck brace because of the tumor on his spine to keep his neck from collapsing.
Ah,
Yeah, so he had to wear a neck brace for the longest, and been on a lot of steroids. He gained so much weight. At the age of like 4, he was wearing like a 7 in kids from the steroids. But he ended up losing a lot of weight. But even with that, he was dancing. He was dancing. His left hand was paralyzed, but that baby was moving. The left hand was paralyzed from where the tumor was sitting.
so all of that
Um,
because it's neurological. Is that
yes, yes, it's because it's neurological. Because your spine is it does a lot for you. Like
Yeah.
it does a lot for you. And where it was sitting at caused his left hand to be paralyzed. But eventually over time he started being able to open it and close it, open it and close it. And I mean, from the toys from him and his daddy shooting me with Nerf guns. but but our number one thing was dancing. I was his biggest hype woman. Like dancing, and he always wanted to be a content creator. He loved Rhyme World and Ninja, and I think it's Ninja Kids on YouTube. He loved all that. He loved all that. So, and then just dancing. He never met a stranger. We ended up going to St. Jude because he was part of their research. And we walk in a restaurant, and all I hear is, "Oh!" I turn around. He's blowing kisses at these other ladies. Just
like young.
I said, "Oh!" Just blowing kisses. I said, "Okay, Kylan." And then we leave out, and he said, "Bye, ladies."
And then know how to address them too. Oh,
oh, very respectful, very, very respectful. Never met a stranger. If he saw a kid playing by themselves, he'll say, "Hey, kid, you want to play?"
Wow.
And so, yeah, he was like, when I say he was the perfect angel, he was perfect. Like, and didn't get in trouble. I think one day he said a bad word at school, and he looked around, and the teacher ended up calling me, and I was like, it wasn't me. It was his daddy. It was not me. It was not me. But rather than that, he was an amazing kid. He was amazing.
Like my type of little dude.
Oh yeah, you would have loved him. Loved him. And the thing about it, it shows how amazing he was. They ended up naming the last classroom he was in at the Allen School after him.
Oh, yes. That's what's up. That warms my heart right there to hear that.
Yes. So he has a little plaque up in there with his picture in a shirt that says Kylan Strong on there. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When it came rather to you with the self-blame, and I'm so proud of you for
thank you.
letting that go and knowing that you did what was best in that moment. Because unless you're faced with something like that, people can say what they would have, what you should have.
Yes.
But unless you're faced with it, you don't really know how you're going to react. You just assume.
Mm-hmm.
With the self-blame, what was that like for you? Like, what forms did that come in? Did you read? Was it mental? Did you physically show it?
I say for me it was both. Mental, I cried a lot. I literally told my dad, I said, if I don't get into therapy or if I don't get on any kind of medication, I'm gonna die from my heart being broken. Because it was hurting so bad, because in my mind I'm like, here I was, like, what could I have done? These are my old colleagues. Like, I'm a medical provider, just as well as the doctors, just as well as the nurses, the respiratory therapists. What could I have done? Did I do enough? And then physically, it showed up because I wasn't taking care of myself. I would lay in a bed. I wouldn't brush my teeth. I wouldn't take a shower. I was just sitting in that grief. So it took a while. I'm not going to lie. I think Kylan passed that Wednesday. I called the therapist up the next day and I said, "Hey, I can give you my insurance information, but I need to come talk to somebody right now." And sometimes I didn't even go into the office. It was on Zoom, or like she'll even call if I wouldn't pick up, because sometimes, with depression, you sit there, you don't want to answer the phone, you don't want to eat. Mm-hmm. And so she'll call my cell phone and be like, "Hey, let's talk." So it was a lot of self-blame there. And I had people in my ear telling me, "Hey, it's not your fault. Hey, you did all you could. But for me, that moment plays back in my mind. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I take medication. I take medication for nightmares, because never in a million years I would have thought that it would be me to provide aid for my son, or it would be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anybody that's listening, I mean, it makes sense because I know some are you're in that profession, but this is
Hmm.
like I gave birth. Not only
Birth.
did I give birth, I
Yes.
actually was happy I gave birth and loved him.
Mm-hmm.
We were a
Mm-hmm.
first.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I everything you're saying, I know how I feel about my daughters.
Mm-hmm.
I could not imagine like
Oh,
not imagine
yes.
going through that. It's
Yes.
I have an aunt that when my cousin passed away and he was, older, not older, but like in his 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe approaching 30, but nevertheless, my aunt will never be the same.
Never.
And it was tragic, but that doesn't matter. Like it's the
Mm-hmm.
death of a child. And in Kylan's situation, he had just started the life. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that alters who you are as a person forever.
Yes, it does. I'm glad that you said that because a lot of times people would compare Kylan stuff to like their mother's stuff or to their father's stuff or to their grandparents' stuff. And I have to sit up there and explain to them, hey, I carried him for 9 months. I felt every kick, like I heard the heartbeat, like I carried him. So for me, it's not the same. You can't compare.
No.
I lost a friend because they wanted to argue back and forth with me
Yeah.
about.
Did people feel that you should grieve the way they feel you should grieve?
Yeah, so like I mentioned a while ago, like a lot of times people want to compare like their mom, their aunt, their grandparent. And so I'm like no, I gave birth to this child. This child was a part of me. We was connected in the
Yeah.
womb. So you cannot compare. You cannot say, "Hey, I know how it feels because I lost my grandma," or "I know how it feels because I lost my cousin." Now, I did have a colleague say, I don't know how you feel, but I know my mom know how you feel because she lost a child.
Yeah.
And so when they said that, I was like, and
It
they actually
finally.
put us, yeah, finally. But the crazy thing about Kylan stuff, this is so crazy. That day, there was another kid that was passing away. So that the the ICU doctor said this is the worst day ever in my career because everybody in ICU was intubated. And so
Okay.
three people died that day. Um, so it was my family who was there, and it was another black family that was there. We both had the same oncologist. Our sons both passed away. Her son was 7, Kylan was 5. Well, yeah, I think Caleb was 7. I might be wrong. But
Look at
me
me.
and her,
Come on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
me and her are like best friends. Like
Wow.
that's my girl.
That's what's
We
up.
we we connected. She found me on Facebook and said, "Hey, I remember y'all being there the same time we was there." My dad tried to talk to some of her people to try to comfort them. Also, while we was crying and stuff, so my family was showing up for her family, and
That's what's
so
up. Y'all brought it together.
we brought it
Way
together, and
black people
that's
should do. That's the
yes, uh-huh.
that's who we really are as a people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh. We brought it together, and like I said, we're best friends now. If she called me and she want to cry and talk about Caleb, I'm listening. If I call her and I'm crying and I want to talk about Kylan, she's listening. And so it's like God work in certain ways. And I'm a believer, and so I feel like God knew who to put in my life during that time because
Yeah.
I already knew I already knew I was not going to survive this. I knew it was going to take me out because, you know, this was my only child. And not only that, like, we put so much time, like, we spent so much time in hospitals, so much time trying to find treatment. We contacted MD Anderson.
Wow.
We was ready. We was ready to move to a different state if we had to, just just to make sure Kylan was okay. Hmm.
That's love. That's what
That is love.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
end of the world, we're gonna go there to make
We're
sure
gonna go.
we get you what you need. And so
Mm-hmm.
I commend you. There's no comparison to losing a
At all.
like that. I mean, we know that anything can happen, as it did with
Mm-hmm.
Kylan when it comes to medical. But if we look at like the cycle of life and age,
Mm-hmm.
we are supposed to go before them. And so,
Correct.
and even other than that, there's just still no comparison. I'm sorry. It
Mm.
still hurts.
It
And
still hurts, right?
but losing a child, like I said, I don't want to imagine that.
No, because and I mean, and you like some days I'm in my mind, I'm thinking like, what would he be doing now? Like, I'm pretty sure he'll be doing all the TikTok dances. I'm pretty sure like he'll be
Yeah,
saying he don't want to go to school. Like, I'm pretty sure he would have been big on YouTube showing off his toys. And so like the thought of I wonder what he would be doing, like,
yeah.
or what he'll be looking
Yep.
looking like now. Because now all I can see is that 5 year old, and before that, I don't get years after or anything like that. So, um, I had somebody,
Mhm.
ooh, Jesus, I had somebody tell me, "You're 35, you can have another one."
Wow, how insensitive. Clearly, though, but clearly, I mean, hey, dude, or whoever you are, clearly
It
but to
was a
make
female.
find that so insensitive, that
Mm-hmm.
that to me, making that statement says, Poot Kylan, get over it.
Mm-hmm.
You can have another and replace him. Like that,
Replace him.
guys, I think that when it comes to, I have learned over my years, when it comes to death and people's feelings, I honestly, in a sense, I like to say nothing. Like I don't want nobody
Mm-hmm.
to think I don't care. And if I'm not going to say because I don't understand, if I
Right.
haven't experienced it, and I mean experience it, and even if I did, sometimes I still won't understand because I'm not you. We have to watch what we say to people. I,
Yeah, yeah. And I said, I was like, wait, I can have another one, but that other child won't be Kylan.
nope. And you hit
Like
the
you can
nail
never
on the head.
replace.
That's it right there in a nutshell. Poop what I said.
That's
That's
it.
it. It won't be Kyla.
It won't be Kylan. Like no, like that doesn't change the fact. And I think I kind of scared her because the way I looked at her, like, ma'am, you don't get out my face
Okay.
right now.
She should have been scared.
You don't get out of my face. I did not crash out before. Like I did not crash out after losing Kylan. It's all God is carrying me. So right now, if you don't leave me alone,
Okay. All that gonna go to hell in a handbasket.
because I was like, why would you tell somebody that? That's crazy.
I find
Yeah, that's crazy.
it is. It is. Speaking of God,
Hmm.
how did it test your faith?
Oh, I was mad. I was mad. I couldn't pray. I was mad. And I am a PK child. And I say I'm a PK child. I'm not a bad PK child. My brother makes up for that.
What is a PK
Um,
child?
a preacher kid.
Oh, okay. I never heard of it. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
So,
call it. So here in the
okay.
South, it's we a PK child.
Okay. Now
And
let's.
normally when they say a PK child, they like, oh y'all bad, like y'all bad.
Uh-huh. That is truth. That is the saying.
That and I'm not bad. That's why I always say my brothers make up for that.
Okay.
However, it tested my faith a lot, a whole lot. I couldn't pray. Like people were saying, pray, pray, pray. And I'm like, pray for what? Like, why should I be praying if God took away the one thing that was causing me to be happy, the one thing that gave me life? And I understand that on this earth, we are borrowed people. Like our bodies are borrowed. We belong to God before we were belong to ourselves and to this world. But I was angry. Ooh, I was mad. I wasn't going to church. Um, I don't mention the Bible, don't mention no scriptures to me, don't mention no prayer to me. And for me, that was a whole different person because I prayed, I read my Bible, I went to church, I did all of that. But when Kylan passed, I was like, no, like God, like I don't understand why you did this. And I just thought about all the times we spent in the chapel at the hospitals, or we spent at church praying for God to cover him, for God to heal him, and then for not the tumor to take him out, but a shunt malfunction to take him out. Something that was easily to be fixed to cause his death. And that right there, just, I was like, okay, God, you're going to have to see me. You have to see me, God. I know you strong and mighty, but you need
Yeah,
to.
we gonna have to have one, have it out here. I get it. I get it. Where is your faith today?
Today, my faith is way better. It's way better. One time I was sitting, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, and I said to God, I said, God, if you can't help me, nobody else can. And so, and at this time, I was praying and I was crying. I was like I've tried everything. Therapy's working, medication is working, but I'm still missing God. And so um, I went back to the book of Job and I read that book. I read the book of Job probably 4 or 5 times. And with reading that, it helped me with my faith. It helped me bring me closer to God, because in the book of Job, he lost everything. He lost kids, he lost everything, but he never lost his faith in God. And so I was like, if Job can get through this, and he lost all his kids, he lost everything, but he never lost his mind, I know I can get through this. So now my faith is back where it needs to be. I mean, it still needs a little bit of working,
Right.
but I'm back in a better space and a better mindset than I was before.
And I think that's the key because I mean, any
Hmm.
it's growth, right? To get back to that,
Yes.
you're on the path of getting back to, and probably stronger, because
Yes.
of what happened. So, and I'm glad that that was something that resonated with you and made you say, like you said, if he could do it, I could do it. You know,
Yes.
it is just as simple as that. Nobody can tell you in your time, but I'm glad that you
Hmm.
found that something that gave you the desire to be back where you were as far as your faith is concerned. And I'm glad that you're in therapy. I'm actually, and
Thank you.
I employ anybody, you're welcome. I employ anybody that has gone through anything traumatic and sometimes even just to talk. I believe
Hmm.
um, there was a time that was something you could not talk to me about. We're going to go back and forth.
No.
But today, I definitely believe that therapy does work. When you mentioned if you didn't get into therapy, that you would literally die. I know sometimes it could just be people feeling that way.
Yes, ma'am.
It's your heart is broken, and then you add
Broken.
depression into that. Do you
Hmm.
really feel that that is something that could have happened?
Definitely. 100%. It got to the point where I made my affairs in order. Like literally, left my little sister with everything. I said, this is what I want. I want my obituary to look like this. I want my casket to look like this. And never in my mind have I ever thought about that. Never in my mind have I ever pictured losing a child. I didn't even picture having a child because I was the rich auntie to my nieces and nephews.
Let alone not
Let
even put
alone.
having.
Yeah. So I just knew that pain. I knew that pain was gonna kill me. And I think about how couples are when a wife die or when a husband die. Um, Typically a lot of them pass months later. And I just knew, I was like, this is a heartbreak that nobody can fix, that therapy can't fix, medication can't fix, what people are trying to tell me can't fix. And I mean, still to this day, I have that same heartbreak, but I have more faith
Mhm.
than I did then. Um, a lot of times people tell me, once you healed, you'll start feeling like yourself. And I said, what does healing look like for a person that will never see their child again? There you go. It's I'm healing in other areas of my life. I'm still gonna be hurt. I still lost my child. At the end of the day, my child is never coming back. I can go to this mausoleum, this gravesite where he's at, and talk to whatever's left in there, but that's not him. That's not him. So when people love to say, well, you going through this healing, you going through this healing. I say, I'm going through healing in other parts of my life. However, I will always miss my son. And that's forever has changed me to this day.
I agree with that, and very well put. Because you are healing. That's why you're back
Mm-hmm.
and at work, and moving forward in life, and have found your faith again. That's a part of healing. But
Mm-hmm.
the healing that they may be speaking about, I will never heal from that.
No.
It's forever going to be a hole there where he was. So I can most certainly understand that. What are moments like now, as far as your grieving? Like, where are you in that?
Um, as far as grieving go, um, there was a point where I couldn't say my son is dead. I couldn't use the word dead at all. I can speak and say dead. And actually, when I was in therapy, my therapist was like, "Oh my gosh, you use the word dead. You ain't never." Like, you'll be like, my son is gone. So I'm like, okay, I can speak on it. I can speak on his death. I can talk about it now and not get worked up, like tore up. I used to be tore up. I couldn't talk about it. And now when people ask me like, oh, what happened to Kylan? Or now when they see his story, and they come to me and be crying. I'm like, why are you
Yeah.
crying?
I'm telling
Why are
you,
you
that was what I
crying?
was like. Oh gosh, Sean, hold it together, please. Yeah,
like like why are you crying? They looking at me like, why are you not crying?
yeah.
And I think with that, it comes from strength. It definitely comes from God. It definitely does. It comes from support, having family support, having friend support, um, and being able to talk to people that has been through what I've been through. And I, when I first was going through this grief stage, when it first started, I told my therapist I need a support group that is me, that is my color, because nobody else can relate to death like African American women or Black people coming together. We don't grieve like the Caucasians. We don't grieve like nobody else. I'm just being honest, and I'm just being honest. You know, we wait a week or 2 weeks to put our family in a
Okay,
grave.
I'm telling you.
They do it in about 2 days.
Okay, I do believe it's a difference. And I'm not sorry for it. I mean, I believe
Yes,
it's a difference.
it's a difference. And so even looking for a therapist, I wanted to make sure my therapist was an African American woman because I wanted her to understand my pain. I didn't want someone to be like, well, why do you feel that way? Or why do you, because this is how I am as an African American woman that has we have went through so much to be here. So this is how I am. So I want to relate to somebody that can relate to me. I want to be connected with somebody that can be connected to me.
And just that
Um,
perspective that you said about us being going through so much, that is what
mm-hmm.
it is. That is
Yes.
why it's different because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But continue.
Yeah. Yeah, because we went through so much, even with pregnancy, when it comes to delivering babies, even when it comes to grief, and it bothers me so much as African American women that we can't talk about it. We quiet because for us, we're taught we got to be strong
Gotta
all
be
the time.
strong.
You got to
Period.
be strong. You don't talk about it. Like, and so um, I made sure like I want to be surrounded by African American women that has been through what I've been through, that can walk me through this walk. Not somebody that been through it, but they doing XYZ. No, I need somebody that looks like me. And so that was a huge part of my healing because when Kylan passed, I was like, I don't know anybody that has lost a kid. All my friends, they have their kids. Like, who, like, I don't know anybody. I knew other races,
Mhm.
but then when I finally thought about it, and I'm like, okay, she lost a son. but they wasn't young. They were older. Then I started thinking and thinking, and then when Jessica, the lady that lost her son at the same time, came to me, and I was like, "Oh God, you knew this what I needed. You knew this what I needed. Like I needed this in this
Yeah.
time and moment." But previous before that, I met a young lady named Kim. Her son was 5 when he passed, and it's like God put her in my life.
Yeah.
But at the time, like she showed up to the hospital, she was right there. But at the time, I'm not thinking about that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Kylan, and so I mean, she did his funeral. She did Kylan's funeral, and it was beautiful. Kylan loved Captain America. You walked in there, it was kid friendly. Like you probably thought you was in Disney World. They did
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
amazing job.
Oh, that's what's up.
They had the Marvel theme playing. He had his Captain American shirt on. He had his Captain America Crocs. He had he didn't like hats, but we had to put a hat on due to the surgery. So he had a Captain American hat on. But just having Kim in my life and has experienced a death of a child, she made it beautiful. Like it was a beautiful funeral. Like it was, I mean, they closed the school down for his classmates to come. So it was everything a kid would want at a funeral.
That's what's up. So it was
Mm-hmm.
Captain America. It's
Captain America.
yeah. What
Love
made
Captain America.
what made you go on social media and tell your story or tell his story rather?
Because I knew I couldn't be the only person. I knew um healing, if I didn't heal out loud, I was gonna die. I knew if I told my story, more people would come forth. Um, and I didn't do it for likes. You know, people were like, "Oh, you blew up." I didn't do it for likes. I didn't care if I got likes. I don't get paid for it. But I wanted to connect with other people that has been through what I have been through. Not only that, not only the loss of a child, but also like being in the medical field and not being listened to,
Hmm.
or being at the hospital. You don't even have to be in the medical field; just being at the hospital, not being listened to. When it comes to family members, and
Hmm.
so I said, Lord, I don't know my calling, but put me in a position where I can reach other people. I don't care about pay. I don't care about recognition. Put me somewhere where I can help someone else. If that's all I do, if me talking to somebody or somebody hearing this podcast or whatever, and it touches them in whatever ways, they might want to go to medical school. They might want to go to nursing school. They might want to help out at schools for little kids with disabilities. Either way it go, I know I have did what God called me to do. So um that was it. Like I sat down with Ryan, I said, we should tell Kylan's story. Like he touched so many people. I felt like his story needs to be told.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. I love it. And I think you hit on so many points. What you said, first and foremost, I feel that you're actually very strong once
Oh,
again
thank you.
for
Thank
healing
you.
out loud. Because I
Mm-hmm.
feel and again, like you said about our culture, we're taught to be strong,
Yes.
suck it up and you move forward because we're
Mm-hmm.
strong people. We didn't have a choice at one time. You better suck it up.
Exactly.
So that has, been the way that we were ingrained to be over the years. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel that that is actually weak. Hold
Yep.
on. You can't move forward like that. You're stuck. No matter what you think, you're stuck in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
grief or whatever that was that entered your life. So healing out loud, guys, like that is strength.
That
So
is good.
I
Yeah.
love I love what you're doing. Like that is the reason that I started this too, because I'm like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
care if it's one listener or 10 listeners, that one person is all it took. And maybe that's what they needed to hear in that moment. So what you're doing,
Yes.
other people, like you said, whether it be in the medical field or grieving moms,
Mm-hmm.
even then I'm going, if I once I deal with my healing, because there's no
Mm-hmm.
time,
Yes.
but I can do this, I can get back up and continue on with life. You know,
Mm-hmm.
And that does not mean that you have to forget. It just
Right.
means you have to keep moving.
And
So
I'm glad that you said that part about don't forget, because a lot of times in the beginning I was guilty. Like if I laugh or if I was having a good time, I'm like, why I'm laughing? Like I should be grieving. And so a lot of times people, they see me, oh, she looks happy. Oh, is she over it? I'll never get over the loss of my child. But that part played a big part of my life. Like, oh my gosh, I feel like I don't deserve happiness or deserve to have fun because I am grieving. So,
I agree. I agree with what you said, and I have heard of that. I
mm-hmm.
definitely have heard of that because now you're feeling ashamed that like you said. I don't even have to reiterate it. Like you said it. I agree with that. So, what is one thing that you would leave to moms that are dealing with what you've dealt with or continue to deal with, or who have that child? Of course, we don't know if they're going to pass, but they're going through what Kylan has gone through.
To advocate, keep pushing. That's your child. Them doctors are just doctors. That's your child. Like keep advocating for your child. If you feel like you're not being heard, go somewhere else. If you feel like you're alone in the situation, they can call me. They can reach me on TikTok. You can call me. I advocate. But to keep going, to like, I mean, and to be heard. And I'm sorry,
Good.
but to be heard, to keep going, to keep pushing forward. Um, and I mean, at the end of the day, that's your child. You're the mom. That's it. Like to don't give up. Do not give up.
Very well said. You advertised a memorial plaque, or what was that that you? I saw that on your page.
Yes. So, oh, you will have to. I will have to share that. They sent me a memorial tag, and what it is, um, you can upload all your pictures of your kids, video, and so you can put it on a gravesite or the mausoleum. And so, let's say your iPhone stopped working or something, and you lose all those pictures. If they're uploading on that, you will have that for lifetime.
Man, that
You
is
will have it for a lifetime. And we had so many pictures and videos. So you can go there, somebody can scan it, and it'll play everything.
that is cool. What is your social media information? Guys, go follow her. And as you heard from her mouth, I mean, if you need an ear, she's willing to
Oh
be that.
yeah.
So yeah, please share your social media information.
Okay. So my Instagram is Dominique M. Bradley. And that's the same as my TikTok is Dominique M. Bradley. And also my Facebook. So it's Dominique M. Bradley. So yeah, you can send me a message. I'm very talkative, I'm very friendly. Um Now, I will say I did take a break from TikTok because Christmas, the holidays always get me a little bit more.
Yeah.
But my goal is to be back in full force on Monday. So.
Go follow her. Here we have a positive black
Mhm.
woman that you heard from her mouth. She's about our
Mhm.
people, which I love because I do,
Yes.
especially we as women, guys, y'all too. But I do believe that we as black women need to support each other more.
Yes.
And here's one right here that is offering that. If you may
Mhm.
be going through something. I know you gave everybody your information. Can you spell that out just so that they can make sure they're going to the correct person?
Yes. So Dominique is Dominique, and then it's M as in Mary, and last name is Bradley, Bradley.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I support you and
Thank you.
go follow her and support this black woman doing
Thank you.
her thing. And again, I like what you said too. She's not in it for the money. It's about,
I know.
when that I too have gone through this and I can be an ear
Mhm.
if you need an ear. I got one last
Yes.
question before I let you go.
Okay.
Will you promise to always spread peace and love in this world?
Oh yes, 100%. Yes, I
Uh,
promise.
I
I
love it.
promise.
Um, Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I'm
you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome.
Mhm.
Hearing Kylan's story, he is ingrained in my heart now. So the memory of him will live forever.